Oh, look, hello, trendsetters. Greetings, possums, intrepid viewers. Thanks for coming by. And I'm trying to find a quiet place to do this video, but the house is really noisy. Came out here and the next door neighbours using some power tool. What is it with men and leaf blowers? Is there a more useless item in the universe than a leaf blower? It's symbolic, isn't it, of so many other things, like let's push this down the road. I don't understand. Don't get it. Anyway, I'm surrounded by noise and consequently you guys are too. So I'll do my best. Okay, here we go. We're going to have a look at August, which I think could be a doozy. Okay, so we will be looking at that. In other news, while I'm shuffling, a young woman, Celeste Burgess, a few of you wrote to me. She's from Nebraska. And when she was 17, she sourced a medical abortion across state lines and she was arrested thanks to Facebook dobbing in her messages to her mother. Like, that's keeping the world safe. They can't keep the far right from jumping all over Facebook. But a 17-year-old girl in Nebraska, they're onto it. Onto it. What is wrong with these people? Okay. In other news, Mitch McConnell, who dominated the GOP for a generation, came out of whatever place he was in and apparently just froze at a press conference and had to be escorted away. One by one, we're seeing that generation of Republicans disappearing to be replaced by the fully evil, fully mad, fully dictatorial nutcases that reign in Congress. Okay, now, Lena, focus. Okay, just before I do, I'm going to put up Fran Drescher's speech about the actors' strike. I think it's great. If you haven't seen it, I'll pop it up for you as a pinned comment. And her slogan is, sometimes you just have to say no. And I think this is actually the rallying cry. More and more draconian laws come in and everyone goes, oh, it's really terrible. Oh, that's bad. Sometimes you have to say no, big time. And get 57 million of your best friends to say it with you. You know? But here we go. August. I'm going to do the USA and then pull a few cards for the world more broadly. Okay, so first week of August for the US. 4 cards, let's do it. Okay. So I'm doing all this by Braille because I can't actually see the screen. Oh, okay. We've got some surprise news coming up in the first week of August. But before then, I think this could be quite a literal loss in the first week of August, which could be talking about some sort of major natural event, getting out with what you can get out with. So if you're prone to fires or floods or hurricanes, I can't stress enough, please have your evacuation plan ready, have your bags packed. I think this is speaking rather than the personal, it's talking a bit bigger than that. Back to the land of politics, there's going to be some surprise news, dare I say it, that's a game changer. So we already had in the last few days, Giuliani admitting he lied. This is no small thing. Admitting he lied in the Georgia case, having destroyed the lives of those 2 election workers. I haven't heard an apology from his fetid little lips So eventually, I'm sure they'll get compensation, but I digress. Back to this. This is a game changer. First week of August. What this news will be about. I'll have a little look in a minute. And then after that happens, it'll sort of go underground for a while. We'll see as we move through the reading if it'll come back again, but it's something major that causes a retreat. So let's have a look here. What is this news about? First week of August, the surprise news. Surprise, here we go. Let's do some clarifiers. Oh, okay. It's a subject that's very emotional, but it's going to cause people to celebrate. So I think it could be, as one of our dearest comrades, Hogarth, would say, stinky fish news for the Republicans, because this is my Dems celebrating card, and it's something. I digress again. Viewers, have you seen the new ad? It's fantastic. About, there's a young couple in the bedroom, and then the GOP representative comes into the bedroom and tells them what they can't do. Clever, love it. So there's going to be something. It could be one of these Handmaid's Tale type rulings that gets knocked back by a court or something like that. Keep your eye on that, viewers. So week 2 of August, what's happening here? Week 2, what's happening? What can we expect for week 2? Oh, Hangman upside down. Oh, wow. I really hope this is Jack Smith. The Hangman, which usually says things are held up, upside down, meaning things are moving forward. Funny that should turn up. Here's the Chariot, things moving forward. And quickly, after a delay, I'm loving this. I'm loving everything about it. It will catch a lot of the maddies and baddies in the GOP off guard. They're unbalanced by some sort of proclamation, I'm hoping, from Jack Smith in week 2. And the sun is shining on his endeavours, just like the sun is shining here, finally. After a cold, vicious, awful winter, it is now warming up. I'm going to call it spring. Okay, but the sun's shining on this week 2. Let us hope. Okay, let's push on with week 3. Week 3, August. What is happening? Week 3. Yeah, I think we can be certain now that Giuliani has finally told it all, and Mark Meadows for sure. I said a year ago, and I'm sure I wasn't alone as a reader, Mark Meadows would turn. But let's have a look at week 3. Week 3 is all about money and all about American values. Well, that'd be a good thing. You remember American values, right? Distant memory now after 5 or 6 years of this circus, but there we go. I think whatever happens in week 2 is going to lead to conflict in the GOP. What are we going to do? How can we stem the hemorrhage? How can we stop this happening? What can we do now is the question. Well, back to basics, I'd assume. You could try governing, although I'd have no faith at all these guys would know anything about public service or governing, but perhaps you could try it. That would be novel. And they're going to have to come to the table and some sort of compromise. This is physical too. So it might be the infrastructure stuff. It might be some of them holding out, determined to keep the poor people in the poorest states poor, doing what they do best. The GOP, we just want to see what you're doing in your bedroom. We don't care if you haven't worked for 3 generations and your sister's died of a fentanyl overdose and your parents have died of COVID and everything else. They couldn't care less. But they're going to have to come up with some sort of compromise. This is no small thing. This is not a small compromise. It could be not interfering in an election. That'll be a novelty. So let's go. Week 4. Week 4. Week 4. Ooh, things are speeding up. All right. Now, what we have here, it's a little story in itself, really, here. We have a young person who's going to gain a great deal of influence by what they're saying. You know, we've had these exciting breakthrough moments, even out of pain. So, for example, do you remember David Hogg and Emma Gonzalez after the Florida school shooting and how they were just so impressive? You remember the Tennessee 3. It's like that. A new one is going to emerge. And quickly, people are going to want to work with young people on this. I think this has huge potential for week 4. And the Fool in a good way, a brand new cycle. So with these cards, how I'd sum them up is I think we're going to see not a meltdown, it's almost a disintegration of the Republican Party. It's like they've pushed the envelope right from day one, electing the Yeti. They all knew at the time, that's when they were saying things like Lindsey Graham did. If we put him up, we deserve what we get. You know what? We've been sitting here for 4 years, 5 years waiting. And I think August, they're going to implode. I think probably Jim Jordan's stupid, vicious, pointless committee is going to just end in a fracas. I mean, these ghastly humans are running out of routines. They're running out of energy almost. They're like a cheap toy that works until Christmas afternoon and then it doesn't work anymore. You know those ones? And all they do is trip you up for the next 3 weeks till you throw it out. Yeah, it's like that. Now, I'm going to pull some cards now for the world because I do want to remind America you are part of a bigger global family. So for better or for worse, we're all impacted by what happens in America. And I think karmically, it's about time America started to be influenced by other places. You know, imagine that. You could get a universal healthcare system that costs you less than what you pay now. Do you remember when Bernie was going about, bless Bernie Sanders, trying to explain, he must have done it 1,000 times, explaining that it wasn't a socialist system that was going to take away your grandmother at midnight. It was simply what other first world countries did automatically because citizens pay tax and they expect healthcare. Hello. But there were all these think tanks around that who kept crunching the numbers, and some were independent, some were pro-Bernie, and others were anti-Bernie. And what did they all find? Americans pay more than any other country to not have healthcare. That's a winning formula. So you wouldn't have to spend $1 more, but you would have to crush the nexus of power of the pharmaceutical giants. And that would mean it would free up all that extra money that gets paid to them to take the form of beds, hospitals, nurses, doctors, people getting treated. I remember someone saying many years ago, Americans die of preventable illnesses. They're dying because they're Americans. If they were Canadians and Australians with those same series of health issues, they would not be dying. So think about it, America. Apart from what's going on with gun culture, as Fran says, maybe it's time to just say no. So gearing up for next year, right? Really try and find like-minded souls, because that's important. When you're burnt out, exhausted, frazzled, you're scrabbling to make ends meet, you're bombarded by news, fake and otherwise, really try and find a path where you get away from those things that drain your energy. And at some point every day and every week, find some activities that give you energy. It's so important because next year is the most important year in the history of modern America. I'll get off my hobby horse now. Let's just have a quick look at the world, because it's not as though the rest of the world is all a pretty place, but most of us have healthcare. Okay, let's go. Let's go. August. Let's have a look. Dare to hope, dare to dream. This hasn't gone global as far as I'm concerned. I think this to me is purely about Ukraine. I don't know why it's left to Ukraine, but it has. I think this is the calling for a ceasefire. You see this? Followed by the Ten of Swords. The upside of the Ten of Swords is it is a 10 in tarot, end of one cycle. You can't do any more damage to this person. Well, of course you can. I'm talking symbolically. But these two together speak to me of a ceasefire. But there is confusion around that. What does it look like? At the moment, Erdogan, who's the strong man of Turkey, is putting himself forward as a negotiator. So he might not be the nicest guy in the world, but you know what? Into this mix, sometimes you need someone who thinks like they do. You know what I mean? Like maybe, but there is confusion. There'll be talk of a ceasefire. It'll almost get there, then some confusion. But a deal might be made. This is the Hierophant. I don't know if you've caught up with the news this week, but a very important cathedral was bombed and massively damaged. And I tend to think it was an accident by Russia, because this particular cathedral, let's have a look here. This could be the Russian Orthodox as well as the Catholic. The Russian Orthodox leader, who is a robed oligarch himself, right, and very close to Putin, it was a cathedral where he went on one of his first pilgrimages as the leader of the church. It had particular meaning to him, and he would have seen the pictures. And maybe it's him who might be able to bring them to the table. Let's hope for that. Okay, guys, so, oh, okay, sorry, I forgot, not finished yet. Now, I've got to tell you, I feel so blessed having you guys as viewers. And I just want to really, eyeball to eyeball, thank you for all your support, all your engagement over this time. I just love it. And doing readings at the moment, it's just so sensational for me to meet you guys. So what I've decided to do, I was going to stop doing readings at the end of August, but I'm now going to extend it into the first week of September. So if you want a reading, you email me. The email's on every video, and tell me where you live. And I'll send you the notes that tell you what you need to do, because I just love it. So, okay, guys, stay cool. Look after yourselves. Look after each other. Okay? Be the nice person. Okay, you guys take care. All the best. If I could find the button, we'd be in business here. Look at me. Okay, now, ciao.